Elijah and Elias Moore did not return to the Mississippi Delta to find their roots. They came back to plant a garden of thorns, using the blood-soaked cash of the Chicago mob. We often frame these twins as heroes fighting against a Jim Crow nightmare. But the truth is far more bitter. The Moore twins brought the infection with them. When they purchase Hogwood's abandoned sawmill, they aren't just buying timber and land, they are buying a throne on a killing floor. The story architect, Ryan Coogler, makes a chilling choice here. He strips away the typical vampire tropes and replaces them with the weight of social debt. The twins represent a choice. The pragmatic burden of Elijah's smoke versus the charming rhythm of Elias' stack. They think they are free because they have grown man money and grown man bullets. But in the 1932 Delta, those things are just another form of company script. This movie is an emotional lie. It makes us root for the twins' success, but their success is built on the same violence that created the vampires. Remick, the Irish parasite, isn't the only one hunting. Smoke and Stack are hunting for a legacy that isn't theirs to take. Every brick they lay at Club Juke is a tombstone for a community that was already struggling under the shadow of the clan. When Sammy, their young cousin, is forced to drop his guitar in the name of God, we see the first spark of the disaster. The guitar is Charlie Patton's. It's a ghost in the hands of a boy who doesn't understand the price of the music. The twins believe that by giving Sammy a stage, they are giving him freedom. Instead, they are giving him a beacon that summons every hungry spirit in the Delta. The irony is thick, like the Mississippi mud. The twins survived the German trenches and the Chicago gangways, only to realize that the most dangerous thing in the world is the feeling of being almost free. They invite the community to sweat, to drink, and to forget their burdens. But they do it inside a slaughterhouse. This isn't a story about vampires attacking a juke joint. It's a story about what happens when the hero invites the devil home because he thought he could out-negotiate the dark. By the time the red signs are painted and the catfish is frying in old grease, the trap is already shut. The Moore twins didn't just walk into a nightmare, they funded it. They brought a northern violence to a southern curse, and the result is a texture of grief that money can never patch up. We are looking at a character masterpiece that uses the supernatural to show the mechanical reality of how a community is broken by the choices of those who claim to love it most. Coogler isn't just making a horror movie. He's auditing the cost of the black dream in a world designed to harvest it. The twins are identical, but their shadows are different. Elijah is the serious pragmatist who thinks he can shoot his way to respect, while Elias is the charm that lures the neighbors into the line of fire. Together, they are a complete engine of destruction. They think they are the ones holding the gun, but they are just the bullets being fired by a history they can't outrun. This analysis is about the hidden choices that turn a standard thriller into a study of human breaking points. You thought Sinners was just a monster flick, but we're uncovering the Hoodoo logic and the Chicago debt that turns these twins into the very thing they feared, the predators of their own people. We're uncovering the hidden choices that turn a standard thriller into a study of human breaking points. You thought Sinners was just a monster flick, but we're diving into the Hoodoo logic and the Chicago debt that turns these twins into the very thing they feared. This is the deep analysis of the 1992 ending you missed. The choice to begin with a boy being forced to drop a guitar is the first spark of the disaster. In this 1932 Delta setting, Pastor Jedediah isn't just a father protecting a son. He is a man terrified of the rhythm that calls to the dark. The sound of that wood hitting the floor carries a heavy vibration. It's the sound of a community trying to kill its own soul to stay safe. Sammy's silent grief here is the texture of the entire film. The director uses this moment to show that before the monsters ever arrived, the spirit of the town was already being strangled by fear. The vibe of the Moore family home is thick with a feeling of temporary safety. When Annie tells Sammy not to use the soap because it will dry him out, it's a quiet burden of care in a world that wants to erase them. The rhythm of this morning is slow, almost stagnant. It establishes the weight of the ordinary before the twins disrupt it with their Chicago-style chaos. You can feel the ghost of their past choices lurking in the steam of the wash basin. A reminder that peace is a fragile thing. When Smoke and Stack stand before the old sawmill, they think they are buying a future. The irony is that they are purchasing a throne on a killing floor. Smoke's talk of grown man bullets is a tragic mistake of perspective. He thinks his wallet makes him a king in the Jim Crow South, but the landowner, Hogwood, sees something else, a fresh supply of life to be harvested. This scene is a study of the lie of ownership. You can't own land that is already haunted by the price of blood. The choice to intercut the father's sermon with the twins' arrival is a masterclass in irony, as Jedediah warns that the devil will follow you home. We see the twins, the very devils the town feared, cruising back in a car that smells like northern sin. The burden of 1 Corinthians is laid out like a map. The director is telling us that the way out isn't a road. It's a choice that the Moore brothers already failed to make in Chicago. Chicago ain't nothing but Mississippi with tall buildings. This line is the heartbeat of the brothers' bitterness. The twins are ghosts of a great migration that didn't work. They realize that the shadow of the plantation follows the man, not the geography. Michael B. Jordan plays this dual role with a texture of exhaustion, a feeling that they are running in circles. By returning home, they think they are dealing with the devil they know. They've forgotten that the Delta's devils have had 7 years to get hungry. The plan to start the Juke joint with a bang is a mistake of the soul. Stack wants the charm, Smoke wants the power. This split is the rhythm of their downfall. They believe they can divide their world into business and family, but in a place this small, everything is blood. The way they look at the sky and call it a fine day to be free is the ultimate irony, because the sun they are praising is the only thing keeping the real monsters in the basement. Smoke paying a young girl 10 cents a minute to watch his truck is a chilling detail of character psychology. It shows a man who believes every heartbeat has a price tag. He's teaching the next generation that safety is something you buy, not something you build. The texture of this negotiation feels dirty, a shadow of the mob life they claimed to leave behind. He is turning a child into a sentry, a choice that proves Smoke has forgotten what it means to be a neighbor. The casual violence of shooting a man in the street over a truck is where the hero mask slips. Smoke isn't protecting property. He is asserting a Chicago-style dominance that the Delta soil rejects. The feeling here is one of infection. He mentions sepsis, but the real rot is the way he treats his own community as a threat. This choice by the director highlights the irony. The twins came back to save the community, but they brought the very gun logic that destroys it. What color you got? Red. This moment is the visual mission statement. The red paint isn't just for the sign. It represents the blood that will eventually coat the floors of Club Juke. The choice of red is a spark of foreshadowing that feels like a burial. They are painting their own tomb. The director uses this vivid texture to show that the twins' ambitions are rooted in a violent aesthetic that can only end in one way. The story of the twins' father being burned by Smoke is the heavy ghost of the Moore legacy. Smoke didn't just kill a man, he tried to incinerate the evil he thought was inherited. But by doing so, he became the very thing he was trying to stop. The fire didn't cleanse the family. It just hardened Smoke into a man who trusts nothing but the flame. He isn't building a club. He's building a cage to keep the past from catching up. Delta Slim is the rhythmic conscience of the film. When the twins offer him $20 to play, they think they are being generous. Slim knows they're buying his soul for a Saturday night. The harmonica isn't just an instrument. It's a messenger's tool. Slim's doubt about how much time I got left gives the scene a texture of mortality. He sees the twins as gangsters playing at being saviors, and the music he plays is a warning they are too arrogant to hear. Slim's story about the lynchings and the promissory notes is the human value core. He explains that white folks love the blues but hate the people who make it. This is the irony of the twins' plan. They think they are creating a space for joy, but they are just creating a more efficient way for the predators of society to find their prey. The director uses Slim's exhaustion to ground the supernatural threat in a very real historical horror. The energy of the grand opening is an emotional lie. The twins tell the crowd to sweat till they stink, but the sweat is fueled by fear and northern liquor. The Juke joint feels like a pressure cooker. The rhythm is too fast. The energy too desperate. It's a spark of life in a slaughterhouse. You can see it in Smoke's eyes. He isn't enjoying the party. He's watching the door. He knows that when you ring a dinner bell this loud, you're just calling for the dark. Mary's return is the ultimate moral flip for Stack. She is the ghost of his cowardice. By passing and staying in the shadows, she survived, but she lost her soul long before the vampires bit her. The choice to have her return for her mother's funeral highlights the burden of family. She represents the price of safety. Stack's reaction is a mixture of lust and regret, a feeling that he left his heart in a grave he's now trying to dig up. The tragedy of Rice, who took his money to start a church only to be murdered at a train station, is a profound thematic subtext. It proves that no matter how much money you have, the predators of the world will always find a way to take your manhood. The director uses this story to explain why the twins are so violent. They saw what godly men got, and they decided they'd rather be monsters with guns than saints in a noose. Stack's confrontation with Cornbread is a study in character decay. He tells Cornbread to beat the black off of him, a phrase that carries the weight of a century of self-hatred. The twins are bringing a toxic rhythm to the plantation. They aren't just fighting white supremacy, they are fighting the versions of themselves they see in the field workers. This interaction is the texture of a man who has forgotten where he came from. Smoke's realization that the plantation money is just wooden nickels is the failure of his dream. He brought real dollars to a place that only recognizes debt. It's a masterclass in irony. He wanted to be the boss, but he's playing a game where the rules were written by the monsters. The feeling of this chapter is one of sinking. Every dime they spend is pulling them deeper into a swamp they can't afford to leave. The debate between Annie and Smoke about the mojo bags is the spiritual climax. Annie's hoodoo is a protection of the spirit. Smoke's money is a protection of the body. When Smoke asks why the Roots didn't save their baby, it's a heartbreaking choice. He isn't just doubting magic. He's doubting the texture of his own heritage. His choice to trust power over ancestors is the open door that the evil will eventually walk through. Remic's entry into the story is masked by a lie of vulnerability. He calls himself a coward. He offers gold. The director uses this to show that evil doesn't always bang the door down. Sometimes it asks for a seat at the table. Remic is the ultimate parasite, a man who uses the twins' own hunger against them. The golden coins he offers are the same real money Smoke was so proud of. It's a mirror held up to the twins' own greed. The atmosphere inside the club as the shadows arrive is a study in dread. The smell of fish grease and sweat is supposed to be home, but it feels like a trap. The rhythm of the music is trying to drown out the sound of the darkness moving outside. The director uses close-ups of the crowd to show the human cost. These people came for a spark of joy, but the twins have led them into a slaughterhouse disguised as a dance floor. When Stack tries to buy a drink with a promissory note, he is acknowledging that he has nothing left but lies. The texture of this scene is one of total bankruptcy. He's a play cousin to a world that is about to eat him. The choice to have Mary witness this decay is a heavy burden. She sees the man she loved turning into a mechanical ghost of the Chicago streets, a man who doesn't even know he's already dead inside. Stack's attempt to keep Mary safe by sending her away is his final mistake. He thinks he can control the flow of the blood, but Mary is already infected by the rhythm of the Delta. The feeling of their goodbye is one of cold ash. There is no love left, only a burden of past mistakes. The director shows us that you can't save anyone if you're the one who brought the fire to the house in the first place. Sammy's performance is the only transformative moment. For a second, the music actually pierces the veil. The spirits of the past and future are summoned by the truth of the blues. It's a masterclass in storytelling logic. The music is the only thing that matters, but it's also the thing that seals their fate. Remic doesn't want the twins. He wants Sammy's gift. He wants to own the rhythm because he is eternally hollow. The transition of Stack into a monster is the ultimate irony. The charming twin becomes a literal parasite. His hunger for Mary and his hunger for the blood are the same thing. The feeling of this transformation is one of wet, heavy darkness. The director doesn't make it look cool. He makes it look like a mistake that can never be fixed. Stack is now a ghost trapped in a body, a man who will never feel the sun again because he chose the freedom of the dark. In 1992, as an elderly Sammy sits in a Chicago club, the final rhythm is revealed. The ageless Stack and Mary visiting him isn't a reunion. It's a study in eternal regret. The irony is that Sammy, the man who lived, aged, and suffered, is the only one who is truly free. Stack is free from death, but he is a slave to the night and the shadow of his brother's sacrifice. The director's mission was to show that heaven on earth can't be built on a killing floor. The twins thought they were the architects of a new world, but they were just the bouncers for a different kind of plantation. The final choice of the film, Sammy refusing immortality, is the ultimate victory. He chose the sweet pain of death over the cold lie of the parasite. He chose to be a man, even if it meant being a man who eventually dies. The blues was never about the music. It was about the feeling of being connected to everything, even the end.